So here is my review for the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie. I first have to say that very I was very confused by the reception that I saw before I saw the movie. Because I only ever saw unanimous praise, and when I say that I didn't see a single critique of that movie before I saw it, I didn't see a single one. Everyone was saying 9 or 10 out of 10 across the board. So I thought I was going to watch some phenomenal, just masterful, work of film. When I tell you that movie was the corniest, cringiest thing I have had the displeasure of watching in my life. And that it just made me think like what is going through all these other people's minds to where they did not mention the cringiness at all. Like how? How did nobody mention it? Not a single soul. And it boggles my mind how people just 10 out of 10 fire. You gotta go see it. And not a single person says like it was kookily. Now, I already know because I am going to be uploading this to YouTube. I already know I should probably like full screen for this. Full screen for this. There we go. I already know people are going to be like, it's a kids' movie, Shoke, which is the worst excuse and the worst defense you can make for a movie. Because some of the best movies of all time are fucking kids' movies. All because a movie is made for kids doesn't mean that it's okay if it's lacking in substance. Doesn't mean it's okay if it's super cringe. Doesn't mean it's okay if it insults the audience's intelligence. And as we all know with Disney Pixar movies, these are like kid movies, but there's plenty in there for adults because kids can't go see these movies by themselves. And these film directors understand that. Like the parents are the one taking these children to the movies. Therefore, they also put things in these movies for the adults. So even that claim of this shit is for kids is not even 100% true because there's a lot of shit. Fuck you. There's a lot of shit for the adults as well, right? Zootopia was dope. I thought that movie was godlike. It wasn't cringy. You know what I mean. What was that? What was that one movie with the emotions? Inside Out. Inside Out. That's a kids movie, but that shit was like deep and emotional as fuck, right? Big Hero 6. So if that's your defense, go ahead and leave that here at the door because that's just not gonna fly with me. It's not a legitimate excuse. That's not good reasoning. Um, and of course, Sonic is, he's young, so there's going to be like some, young people shenanigans and stuff like that. Of course, Jim Carrey is Carrey. He is naturally kookily. But the problem with Sonic 2 is that they took that shit to the extreme, and I'm not sure why. Because the level of cheese in the original movie was fine, because it definitely had its cheese, but it was to the point where I'm like it's making me cringe. When I was sitting there watching that movie, guys, I was like thinking, I was like this at some of the jokes and some of the things that were taking place in that movie. And I wasn't even like being dramatic. I was legitimately at times embarrassed to be in there watching the movie. It had me shrinking. And for those who haven't seen it yet, this is the spoiler free section. For those who haven't seen it yet, like I said, basically, everything that they had in the first movie, they amplified it 1,000-fold. And that goes for the good and bad things. So all the scenes involving like Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, all that was great. The action was great. It was amazing. Like the Knuckles Sonic fight scene was dope. The third act where they were like fighting together and stuff, that shit was sick. But everything in between with the human characters were eight. Like late stage, like you're about to die tomorrow eight. And for an example of something that's not exactly exact, actually, let me go to my Twitter here because I had a couple people on my Twitter explain it exactly in regards to what the issue with Sonic 2 was. Let me pull up some of these tweets because they worded it exactly how I wanted to word it. I just didn't want to do a long Twitter review because I wanted to do a video review for it first. Okay, here we go. It's a kids movie that people are 300% overhyping. They're like, this is the best movie on God. Like, we all didn't sit through an Uptown Funk dance sequence, two fart jokes, and a wedding subplot fit for an episode of The Sweet Life and Zack and Cody. Now, you would think by this description, an Uptown Funk dance sequence, fart jokes in 2022, and the Sweet Life and Zack and Cody subplot, you would think that's an exaggeration. It's like, oh, come on, man, you're being dramatic. It wasn't that bad. No, what he said is literal. There was an Uptown Funk dance sequence. There were fart jokes, and there was a whole like 30 to 35 minute subplot that seemed like it would be something off of one of those Disney Channel, uh, uh, almost said soulcoms, rom coms or what's those things called? The fucking, just the fucking shows. I don't know why the term is escaping my brain right now. It was like shit like that, and for some reason they had Jim Carrey like talking all hip, young, and cool, and kind of like gangsta at times, and sitcom, yeah, sitcom. I don't know why I couldn't think of sitcom. What the fuck? But yeah, it really like there was a time where like during that whole wedding sequence, the whole subplot, the movie felt like it just shifted, like it just shoved the audience into an entirely different movie. You didn't even feel like you were watching a Sonic movie anymore. And on top of that, it was poorly acted, incredibly cheesy, and more importantly, largely inconsequential to the plot as a whole. I think the beginning of this movie was solid. I think the end was fantastic for the most part. So like the first and third acts were fine, they were good. The middle was butt fucking awful. Yeah, Act Two was made for normies. I think that's putting it a little too lightly. Yeah, like the action was great. Like I said, everything dealing with the actual Sonic characters, of course, great. But of course, when it comes to movies, series like these, where they feature like aliens or some other type of creature or species like Transformers, right? Anytime we see Transformers fighting each other, we're having a great time, and then they do this whole, Sam Witwicky, like, it's like, oh, come on, man. Like, I'm sorry, I scared Ross. Like, we don't want to see that, man. We just want to see Optimus beat the fuck out of dudes. You know, um, but yeah, if you understand the whole like human thing with the Transformers movies and how those bog those down, it's like that, but worse. I'm not exaggerating. It's like that, but worse. Because they take a pretty good chunk of this movie. The dialogue is awful. All the humans are acting pretty poorly. Like even what's his face, Tom, the main human character. Uh, like his acting was different. His wife's acting was different. It's like they were like super phoning it in almost. And I feel like that's because the director told them like, all right, guys, so the first movie was really good. So what we're gonna do, we're just play it up, amp it up, amp it up. And so Jim Carrey is goofy, and of course Eggman was dancing and shit. But in this movie, they got him flossing and be like, "Yo, how goes it, my bro Knuckles?" It's like that's just weird. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't even make sense within the context of the movie or the character. Like no, he was goofy, but he wasn't like that. Like he wasn't like that fucking goofy. What's going on, Sonic, my homie G? I hate thee. Like it would just say like random shit like that where they were supposed to say something where I had to think about it. Like the line would be delivered, and after the fact, I was like, "Oh wait, was that supposed to be a joke?" Right? Because it would just be like so odd and forced, and it's like we didn't need that. So there's like a lot of unnecessary lines, I guess, that were put in there for the sake of like humor, and I had to like find out after the fact, like, oh, they were attempting humor. Oh shit. Like okay, that wasn't funny at all. Yeah, no, yeah, like why is Robotnik talking all hip with fucking Knuckles like that? Racism. Everyone knows Knuckles is a nigga. So why they got Robotnik talking to Knuckles like he's black? Yeah, this shit is racist, dude. Um, hold on. Sonic fans say humans in the Sonic universe, like the video games, are canon, but I feel like it's not an excuse. No, like every Sonic fan knows that humans are canon to Sonic, and we're not. No one is saying that this movie was bad simply because it has humans. We're saying it's bad because of how the humans were handled. I think they were handled perfectly fine in the first movie. I didn't have a problem with them. They were in there just enough. They weren't overbearing. They weren't super fucking cringy. In this movie, bro, I had no idea what was going on. Let me show you guys another tweet. Someone else put it very eloquently. Here we go. Oh yeah, it was actually, yeah, it was Gold Galaxy who actually put it really well. I was going to say this. It felt like two different people made it. One person is awesome and the other is fucking lame. 50% of the movie is dope and the other 50% is absolutely terrible. And I was telling some friends this when we were playing Fortnite earlier before I was on stream. But it's like, this is the same director from the first movie. So it's like he did his thing and he did a really good job. But it's like his nephew was a huge fan of the first movies. So he allowed his very overly excited 6-year-old TikTok watching nephew to like inject some of his input into this movie. It's almost like two people made two separate movies and they decided to just like put it together. Because don't get me wrong, some of the funny, spastastic, haha hoo hoo, like some of it like was funny. But the problem is that they try to just dial it and they go too far with it. It's like, okay, it's like why is the show still going on? You've been making nonstop jokes and trying to get the laughs for like a whole 60 seconds now. Like do one or two and then like move on, get back to the dialogue, and we get the story going. They spend, and this really isn't a spoiler because it's kind of in the trailer, but in the trailer where Sonic and Tails are like, in the disguises, the whole snow gear and everything, the movie spends way too much time. I can't really say for sure how long it was. All I can say is how it felt. It felt like they were in that scene for like 20 minutes. It probably isn't literally that long, but if you think about it, 20 minutes for a single scene, like a single location in a movie that's not like the climax or something super important, is an extremely long time. And it just kind of felt like it just kind of brought the pacing of the movie to like a screeching halt for a second. I understand the purpose that it served. It was to build a character development between Sonic and Tails. But I feel like they could have done that while still progressing the plot forward. They didn't have to do it in such a corny Saturday morning cartoon, Disney Channel, Drake and Josh type of way. You know? The first bar scene? Wait, bar scene from the first movie? I honestly don't remember that. Bar scene from the first movie. But yeah, they have this like whole dance battle, and of course all the characters in there like overact and shit. Let me what was the bar scene from the first movie? I'm trying to remember. Honestly, don't even remember that shit. The dart shit, that sounds familiar. I don't know why that shit's escaping me right now. Hold up. I'm about to pull this shit up. Oh, okay, yeah. I remember
Nice
now.
work, Romeo.
Hipsters.
Who's seen? Uh-oh. Really?
Yeah, okay, I remember this now.
That was amazing.
It was not the same though. It was not the same. They get into a fight and they skedaddle. All right. The scene in this movie, and that was also to kind of show Sonic using his powers and shit and how he sees shit. Like in this movie, they have a whole ass dance battle and shit, and they try to cram it with so many jokes as possible. And it's supposed to be like this tough looking guy, like, oh man, they're gonna they're gonna want to fight these two people or whatever. And it's like, no, it's a dance contest. Ha ho 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 ho! I subverted your expectations. Oh, I'm dancing. Ah, defeat me. Like it was just. Bro, that shit was corny. Well, like I said, not all the corny shit was unfunny. There was definitely some times where I genuinely laughed in this movie. Like some of Jim Carrey shit, of course, I laughed at because he's Jim fucking Carrey. When they first get in there and they're looking at all the tough people and they have the cliches like the dude slamming the knife in the table. They're like, oh, oh. And then they see like an old lady knitting and then they're like, oh. But then she like lifts up what she's knitting and there's like a skull on it and they're like, oh, again, like that was funny. And then the fucking The butcher like chops a fish's head off and it rolls on the floor. It's like, run. Like that shit was funny. But I feel like for every genuinely funny moment, there's just like 5 to 6 unfunny ones that just did not land whatsoever. But yeah, it's like the shit in the bar was funny, but they did too much. They tried too hard. It's kind of like I'm not going to say any names, but it's kind of like someone in this community where they tell the joke and we actually laugh for a change. And so like they keep saying the same joke and they kill it within an hour of the joke's inception. It's kind of like that. It's like they know they've made a funny, and so they step on the gas with it. It's like, no, bro, chill out. Like like get your laugh and take it, champ. Like you got it. Good job. We laughed. Carry on. Keep it going. Like don't sit on the same fucking, you know what I mean? Like, oh shit, let me change my game. I just realized I'm still on Elden Ring. Let me go to just chatting. Um but yeah, that's like a major problem with the movie. But like I said, there are genuinely funny moments. I thought all the effects um look good. There really wasn't a moment where I'm like, ooh, that looked kind of bad, except for some of the stuff involving like the wedding shenanigans and okay, I'll say this though. This a movie for like 6 months, bro. Mocking and making fun of war will never not be funny. I'll get to spoiler talk a little later on. I'm still trying to keep it spoiler free as possible, but I'll say this: I don't think this was a terrible movie. I think it's a terribly flawed movie, but I don't think it's a terrible movie, and here's why: it's not terrible because there is a great movie there with the content that already exists within the movie, right? It's not like Disney Star Wars where it's like we need completely different scenes. Like this shit is just a mess. It contradicts its own story. This makes no sense. The thing about this movie is that you could just edit it down, remove parts, and then it could be a 10 out of 10, right? There's a 10 out of 10 movie in there. There's just a bunch of extra fat littered around, a big chunk of it in the middle that could just be cut out and removed. And then the movie's just godlike. So if you're looking forward to seeing this movie, go see it because, like I said, there is a great movie in here. It's just a great movie bogged down by a bunch of bullshit that did not need to be in there. So like, I came out the movie as much as I'm like dogging it. I honestly don't even really give it that high of a score. I give the movie like a I give it like I actually haven't thought about the score, but probably like a 6.5, which is way lower than I was expecting to give it. I was expecting to give it a 9. I'll give it like a 6.5, maybe 6. I don't know. But you know, on my scale, a 5 is a movie where it's like it's watchable. Like I can come out of it and feel like I didn't waste my time. So anything above 5 is like there's enjoyment to be found in that movie. It's an overall enjoyable movie for me. Like I can come out of it like happy that I saw it at least. Um, and if you're a Sonic fan, you know you're gonna cream when you see some of the action sequences. No pun intended. So like, go see it. Don't let me rain on your parade. You know, with the critiques and stuff like that. There is still plenty of enjoyment to be had. There's a lot to get out of this movie. Trust me. Just be prepared. Like for all the good shit that you can experience in this movie, there's an equal, if not larger, amount of dog shit. So it's kind of like you have to pay for the good parts. You have to suffer before you can get to the good shit. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, be prepared for that. And maybe if you're prepared, you'll enjoy it a lot more than I did. It really does, chaos. Said generate epic. What would you give it? Also, that is a pool. But like people will sit here and give me shit. They might say this is a bad review, but honestly, like have I said something that's incorrect? Like was this movie not like overacted? Was it not overly diluted with the jokes and the attempts at comedy. Like I don't see how you can sit there and watch that and not think that they were trying too hard. That's the best way I can put it. The simplest way I can put it. This movie tried too hard. It tried way too hard for the laughs. And in our theater, we had people of all ages in there, and in most of the jokes that were like clearly meant for kids, like the kids didn't even laugh at them. Not the kids like 10 to 12 type of demographic. Like a lot of these jokes were like 5-year-olds laughing, like that really like just almost toddler like adolescent, like type of giggle, like the roller coaster tycoon giggles. If you guys have played that game, when you're just watching your park and it's just thriving, just hearing when they got the Ferris wheels and shit, like those, that age group. Because like Sonic would do something that's supposed to be funny, and like the 10-year-olds over next to me would not react, and then I hear a baby giggle. Like this, like most of this movie's comedy was like tailored towards fetuses, fresh out the womb. Like I saw niggas laughing in seats over that still had an umbilical cord attached. I was like, is this what they wanted? Like this is who they wanted to appeal to the most? Like again, I'm not saying every joke, every funny moment. I've already said that, I laughed a good number of times in the movie, but the thing you have to keep in mind is that it's the repetition, it's the number, right? It's the quantity. Of course, if you attempt something 1,000 times, you're going to have a decent number that lands, but it's only because you tried 1,000 fucking times. Like they're trying to joke every 60 seconds. Exaggeration, but you get the point. Soundboard head ass laugh. Honestly, yeah. Yeah, gun leader guy, Kukuli, the secret agent. No, I shouldn't say. Oh, well, who the fuck cares? No one's gonna care about that. The secret, the fiance thing, like just corny. And I could go in and critique that, like on a consistency basis, or a writing basis. Like this is why this part didn't make sense. But like all that was just like so goofy. It's like I don't have to even go in and break it down, because it would just be too easy. And just the fact that all that existed anyways in a Sonic movie, that's just a problem within of itself enough where I don't have to go in and get into the particulars about it, but I could. Like for instance, how they take Sonic and Tails and they take them into the building. They leave I forget her name. They leave dude's wife and her sister there. But then they're like patrolling the compound looking out for them. And it's like, why are y'all patrolling looking for them? You have them dead to rights. Why didn't you arrest them when you originally took Sonic? Like, we're taking Sonic. There's nothing you could do about it. And then they leave and they're like patrolling. Look out for those women that we already had in custody. Like, it just makes no sense, dude. What's up, Piper? How you doing? Yeah, what's up? Yeah, well, like Jim Carrey was in there. What's up, Sonic, my G? Oh, home slice knuckles. Oh, God, I'm beautiful. And like, you might think like, oh, show that was really random. Like, there's no way he did shit like that. But like, yeah, like there'd just be like random added lines of dialogue after something. Like, it was just weird. Like, Robotnik would be drinking water, like, oh, damn, good water. I miss my mother. It's like, wait, what? Like, what is going? Like, you're trying too hard. He was way better in the first one, and I don't blame Jim Carrey. I don't blame him because I know it wasn't his decision. I know they told him to up the ante to an extreme degree to the point where he was no longer making any sense. I know for a fact they did that. So it's not on him. This isn't directed at him at all. He did an amazing job with the material that he was given. Like, oh my God. And okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into spoilers, more specific talk. I think that's long enough for a spoiler-free section.
Alert, get out.
You've been warned. So mute the stream until you see me switch scenes or some shit, all right? We're going to get into the spoilers and specifics. But like, kind of like how I was saying, where for every awesome moment, they kind of had to ruin it or add something that was just like super cringe. Like, I forget the name of the robot, but Robotnik's giant robot. It was so cool to see that in live action. I was like, hey, they actually have this. I forget what it's called. They actually have the robot. That's dope. But then immediately after he assembles the robot, they got him doing like the death. They got him fucking doing, like I'm like, they just the death thing. And they just so like you go from like, oh my god, whoa, yeah, the death thing to why would you do that? Like immediately, like it's a complete tonal shift.
Babe, your dick was flopping on screen.
Was it?
I'm just kidding.
I was about to say. Sorry guys, try to keep that tucked in. Yeah, he just always like dancing, and there's certain scenes where it makes sense. Like when he came into him doing his grand return back into the coffee shop, like if you were to dance there, that would make sense. But it's like, why are you dancing in your giant robot, bro? Can you fuck them up? Can you fight them? Like do a speech, typical evil villain stuff. But they're like, we have to appeal to those fucking. What's the gen after Gen Z? Because these jokes weren't even for Gen Z. These jokes were for the generation that is earlier than Gen Z. Do they have a name? What is their name? Do you know their name, Roscoe? Come here, Roscoe. Do you know their name? Huh? Even Roscoe doesn't know their name. It's Gen Z plus one. Even Roscoe doesn't know. But yeah, like they had shit in there that was tailored towards like the 1 through 9 age group. And I wish I was exaggerating, but like I'm not. Like dead ass, the 12-year-olds in the theater weren't laughing like that at the scenes I think the director thought that demographic would laugh at. Do I think Sonic fans are overhyping the movie? Like yes, but it's not necessarily they're just like blatantly overrating it type of way, because I don't think it's intentional. I don't think it's deliberate. I think they just are ignoring all the problems with it, and they're just so focused and tunnel vision on the fact that they saw Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles fighting together, and that's all they can see. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles. That's all I can see. I saw that on the screen, therefore it was great. Like, you know what I mean? And then like 90% of all the other material just doesn't matter to them because they saw what they wanted. And I mean, if that's your prerogative, that's fine. But don't sit here and tell people it's godlike when there's plenty of people out there that aren't like you. They don't have this very unhealthy, obsessive nature when it comes to Sonic that we all know a lot of Sonic fans have, games or otherwise. I don't have to get into it. We've all seen it. We've all been on DeviantArt. We've all been on YouTube. Like we already know what the deal. Let's keep it a $1.50. So yeah, like I don't think it's deliberate. I think they legit just do not care about bad things in the Sonic movie because it gave them so much fan service. And it's kind of, and in my personal opinion, it's kind of like off topic, but I feel like that kind of goes into No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home as well. That movie had a lot of issues. That movie was not a 10 out of 10, but people gave it a 10 out of 10 just because they saw the 3 Spoodermans together. And so nothing else mattered. Don't get me wrong. That shit was great. I came out the theater happy, seeing the previous 2 back or whatever, but it's like that doesn't just erase or fully make up for all the other shit we have to sludge through. You know what I mean? Like all that college shit I did not care about. Some of the acting was super cringe. Like Spider-Man had some of that Disney Channel shit going on. It's like I said, it's your prerogative. If that's all you want to see, you can enjoy what you enjoy. If you like a bad movie, that's fine. If you like a good movie, but you're kind of overrating it a bit because of your personal bias, that's fine. It's okay to have personal bias to a certain degree. It's okay if it's a 9 out of 10 for you. Don't get me wrong. I'm just shocked that people said it's a 9 out of 10 without mentioning any issues. Because this movie took me for a screwball. Like I was shocked. I thought I entered some alternate reality where, or maybe there was some parody cut of Sonic that got sent to my specific theater room as a joke. I'm like, am I getting a different movie that everyone else is? Like, it felt like that. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone because nobody talked about these issues that I've talked about. It was just weird. I was like, how has no one talked about these jokes? How does no one mention that 35 minutes of this movie are useless and the movie would just objectively be better without it? I think the runtime for Sonic was 2 hours and 2 minutes to be exact. Let me see. Yeah, it's 2 hours and 2 minutes exactly. That movie did not need to be 2 hours. It did not. They could have cut out the whole wedding thing. It could have been a super solid, amazing 1 hour, 30 minute just fanfare of good Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik action. And I would have easily given that movie a 9 out. So again, um, I know I'm going hard on it, but I'm only going hard on it because of the expectations that people would like lead you to believe. You know, the things that they would lead you to believe about the movie. There's a good movie in there. I'm sure someone down the line, I'll probably do it my damn self if it never happens, but given the internet and how they work, I'm sure someone's going to do a cut of that movie that they will have people like watch who never got around to it. That would be so much better. It'll cut out like most of the bad jokes and the whole wedding thing. Like I said, the movie doesn't need anything more. It doesn't need anything new, anything different. What's within there is amazing. We just need to cut out the fat so it's focused on the amazing parts and the parts that actually made it a good movie. Well, that would have made it a good movie if it weren't for those other parts bogging it down. Then you get rid of Tom and Co. Somehow that's not gonna work. Well, one way they can do that is they're gonna have to go off planet. I'm hoping to God somehow Sonic 3 is just like off world. Maybe they go to Green Hill Zone or some shit. Like I know the city is supposed to be like, you know, a kind of a play on Green Hill, but like, you know. And they don't have to do that. Because it could just be like the first movie where, in my opinion, I didn't think the humans were overbearing. I didn't think the humans ruined it. I thought it was adequate enough. So they don't need to go off world, but based off what they showed me with Sonic 2, if that's what they're going to continue to do, then I have no faith in them and they need to go off world for this movie to be good. Period. The same way, like I said, Transformers is the perfect analogy for this because with Bumblebee, you had a movie that was way more Cybertronian centric. You know what I mean? It was way less about the humans. There was no convoluted Merlin, Sam Witwicky, you are the ancestor of blah 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 blah. You know, all this convoluted bullshit. You didn't have all that. You just kind of had a girl that B happened to meet, but it was mostly about B and Cybertron history, him running away from the Decepticons that were hunting him. And lo and behold, that was like the best Transformers movies. Like, man, it's almost as if when you focus in on the actual lore of the franchise, the lore and the characters of the franchise that you're making a movie on, it's almost as if it just makes for an objectively better movie within that franchise, within that franchise's breadth. You don't go to a Sonic movie to see a bunch of humans. You don't go to Transformers for humans. You know? And if there are going to be a lot of humans in there, like, keep them to a minimum. Like, I was fine. What's up, Sonic? I was fine with what they were doing at the beginning of the movie because I saw that Tom was going on vacation with his wife. And I got happy. I was like, oh, they're doing the thing where they're like removing the humans largely from the movie so they could focus on the creatures. Kind of like how they did in Godzilla King of Monsters. Remember the first Godzilla where, the movie's called Godzilla, but Godzilla was on the screen for 37 seconds? Remember that and how awful that was? And then King of Monsters comes out and it gets unanimous praise. There's one very particular specific reason why that happened. The movies didn't really do anything drastically different except one thing. It's not like they got this godlike different director who took over. All that happened that made Godzilla King of Monsters godlike and the original one not godlike was they showed more monsters. Less humans, more monsters.
I watch Transformers for Megan Fox, but the big-ass robots keep getting in the way for fuck's sake.
Chaos, I fucking hate you. And if you have an overpass nearby, anyways, but yeah, I'm hoping 3 focuses on the Sonic characters and the human characters are kept to a minimum. Like I said, I was excited to see Tom going through that portal because I thought they were doing the thing where they're like sweeping the human characters away to focus on the shit that the audiences would actually care about. But then, Sonic came back to them, and I'm like, oh no, here we go. And then it started this whole subplot that was just, I could not believe. I can't stress enough. I could not believe what I was watching. I thought I like no clipped into a different reality. Like I just slipped into some pocket dimension where the movie was altered like mid viewing. Like in a video game when the character just like falls to the floor. Like I just fell to the floor and I'm back in a seat, alternate reality, same space, but different movie. It was weird, man. I think Sonic 1 by far is a much better movie than Sonic 2. I would say for those who still haven't seen it yet, please keep your expectations in check. In my opinion, it was not a 9 out of 10. It definitely wasn't a 10 out of 10. I was giving my review on the Sonic 2 movie. Shrek 2 greater than Sonic 2? Absolutely. Absolutely. Shrek 2 is a fucking masterpiece. Sonic 2 could have been a masterpiece. And I would love to rewatch the movie because, like I said, Knuckles was sick. Sonic was sick. Like all the action, the speeding and stuff. And let me, let me talk about that too because I want to give them props for this and fuck Sega for the video games for doing this. I hate how Sega removed the speed from Knuckles and Tails. I hate how they removed everyone from being speedsters except Sonic. And in this movie, Knuckles and Tails are like speedsters again. And when I saw that, I was like, yes, thank you. Like they're not fucking irrelevant. Like they could fight and keep up with Sonic, and it was lit. Like they were zooming through the city. Like all 3 of them were like zooming through the city fighting and shit. I'm like yes, that's how it should be. That's how they should be fighting. Not Tails like Sonic, I'm coming in my robot. Like I hate that shit. I understand making the characters unique and different and shit, but I don't feel like you have to remove the speed from Tails to make him unique. And I think this movie showed that. Because while Tails was still a speedster, he was a speedster using a fucking gat, right? Like he still had that motherfucking thing on him. He was like shooting niggas while running fast. Or flying fast, rather. Because Tails didn't run fast, he flew fast. Which is fine, as long as he's a speedster. And then like Knuckles was like running fast too. Not quite as fast as Sonic. Because of course, Sonic still has to be unique. He is the speedster, but like Knuckles could also run really fucking fast. And he also had he could like jump like really fast off a wall, like turn up on a wall and type shit and glide, of course. So like that was so cool to see, and I miss that in the game so much, man. I miss seeing them be speedsters. So that was really cool. There was a lot of love spent on the characters themselves. I think all of them looked good. If you were to think before the creation of these movies, if you were to think of a live action like Sonic movie, I think this is like the best they could possibly look, really. Tails and Knuckles in particular, I think there's a couple changes you can make to Sonic to make him look more like Sonic, but I think the Sonic we have is perfectly good. I think it's fine. But I think Tails and Knuckles in particular look amazing. I don't think they could look any better in a live action form factor. So kudos to that. Yeah, that is another issue. That it's a kind of a weird writing issue with the movie. In the beginning, Tom is telling him, Sonic, I told you can't be doing this. You're too young. You're not really ready to be a hero. And Sonic's like, you're not supposed to be my dad, Tom. You said we were friends. Right? And, it's like, yeah, that did happen last movie. They're supposed to be friends. It wasn't like it really wasn't too much of a paternal type of relationship. And then at the end of the movie, Sonic's like, thanks, Dad, or whatever. And Tom, like, he's like surprised, like, and then he smells like, yeah. And it's just kind of weird because, like, how do you go from friends to like a child-parent dynamic? I think I don't know. This is kind of strange to me. And I'm not saying it doesn't make sense given the ages because this is a younger, more kid-like Sonic. So I get that. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense from an age standpoint. I just feel like it doesn't make sense considering what the movie itself set up. Because like I said, the first movie and in the beginning of this one, they literally like lay it out that it's a friendship. And then at the end, he calls him Dad. And that's just weird. That's just weird. But yeah, I agree. Tails and Knuckles look better than Sonic. Not that Sonic looks bad. I don't know. It's just strange. Yeah, it's just really strange. Yo, Ultra, appreciate the 22 months, man. How you been, dude? But I think that's everything I have to say about this movie. It's not really something where you have to get deep into it in nitty gritty because like it's Sonic. I don't have to get into like all these like cinematic flaws and stuff like that. Like I think the good things about this movie are very obvious. I think the bad things about this movie are very obvious. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, yeah. I'll talk about that in a second, Chaos. I forgot the worst part about this movie was the cop friend. I forgot his name. Do you remember his name? The cop friend was the worst part of this movie. Not a single time was he ever funny. Not a single time was his acting convincing. And not a single time during the duration of that movie did I think that man deserved the breath in his lungs. He was really bad. And he single-handedly, with his performance and it's not all of his fault because he's just doing the script that he was given, but his performance and the script that he was given, he single-handedly solo dropped the movie like 1.5, 2 points alone. Never did anything useful. His jokes did not land. Oftentimes it was just bizarre. And he served no purpose. Like, what was the point of him being in the movie? Super bad. Agent Stone, was that the fiance? I don't remember names because I checked out on all the human elements. I checked out on all that shit. Or no, the gun director. Oh, Eggman's assistant.
Oh my god, he was a simp.
Like he was fine in the first movie. It was like, yo, this dude's like kooky. What the fuck in the first movie? And then in this one, it was weird. It was the best way I could put it is like sometimes he made us uncomfortable. Because it was like this like really sick, unhealthy obsession with Robotnik. And it was almost like he was like gay for this dude. Like you want to suck him off? Like, or are you just his subordinate? Like, which one is it, man? Like, I don't know. They did too much with him. Like, of course, in the first movie, he was like, like a fan of Robotnik. He was like, oh yeah, yes sir, yes, yes, right away. He was like that. But in this movie, it was like he wanted to suck him off. It was just really strange. But that ties into kind of the main issue with this movie I've been saying with so many different elements. They did too much. They tried too hard. They're like, oh, that was successful in the first movie. So let's crank it up a notch. We gotta make this guy really fucking weird. Let's bring it up to the top, baby. Like no, it backfired. It was really bad. It was really bad. He was strange. But yeah, to what Chaos said earlier, um, the highs were really high and the lows were really low. He didn't say that second part, but I agree with the first part, and that was going to be the way I concluded this review. Um, the highs in this movie are so incredibly high, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like some Highlander class in an RPG where they do massive damage, but they do they do self damage when they do their attacks or something. The lows are so incredibly low. So like how much you're going to enjoy this movie just depends on how much you can handle, how much you can take. Personally, Roscoe, you are very cute. Oh yeah, I forgot Knuckles in the show. I don't know what they're gonna do with Sonic 3. I don't know too much about like no not say Knuckles, Sonic lore in terms of like the Sonic Adventure games because it seems like that's what they're kind of going through. I'm not sure about the lore regarding those games personally. All I know is Ultimate Life Form and Maria and all that shit. That's really it. Um, but I think they're going to introduce at least one new character every movie. So I feel like how yeah, I mean, I am in the spoiler section, so I'll just say it. Once again, doing spoilers, you've been warned. Mute me now. I think since they like introduced Shadow at the end of this movie, the next movie, once they reconciled with Shadow, whatever, he just goes off like, "You're not worth my time, by my own path," or whatever the fuck they're gonna do, right? They're gonna have like Metal Sonic at the post credit scenes or something. Oh six after Sonic 3? I hope not, because oh six had Sonic fucking kissing this whole ass human girl and shit, which was really fucking weird. So I hope not. I do think they will have the original Ultimate Life Form, the giant lizard and all that. I think they will do that, yeah. Not the dumb shit, bro. That's the entirety of Sonic 06. Silver in the future? Honestly, I don't know if they'll do Silver. Oh my god, I forgot about Rouge. I hope they don't introduce Rouge. Because people are already horny enough with like her video game instances and shit. Like a live action Rouge would just, oh my god, all the furries would be out in full force, man. I'm not ready for that. I'll be sitting in the movie trying to watch, and I feel something like warm and wet on the back of my neck. Motherfucker behind me jacking off to live action Rouge. I don't want that. But yeah, I mean, they seem to be staying pretty loyal enough. I mean, so I guess they're going to stay loyal. They will do Silver. I don't really care for Silver. I think Silver is honestly corny. I think he's the lamest hedgehog. I think he's the lamest Sonic character, period. I think Cream and Cheese are cooler than fucking Silver. It's no use. Take this. Like, I don't want to hear all that, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is true. I gotta read some of those Sonic comics. I've seen like bits and pieces, excerpts, short videos, like giving summaries, and a lot of that shit. I'm like, damn, that sounds really badass, actually. You want Robotnik to create a weapon that turns all the humans into familiar Sonic characters? Why would you want that? Because then those characters wouldn't be those characters. They would just be transformed humans. Like Tom would be Tom. Turning Tom to Big the Cat doesn't make him Big the Cat, you know? So we got the word would be those things. I will say this. I think the success, regardless of how I feel about Sonic 2, obviously it's a massive success. Obviously, I'm in the minority here because this movie has been getting insane praise left and right from adults, kids alike, critics, everyone. And it's a box office success. So after the success of two live action Sonic movies, and I never thought that'd be a sentence anyone would ever utter, unironically, Sonic Frontiers has to absolutely hit. It needs to be a good